Well, hello everybody. This is Dr. Carmen Bryant, and this is Car Chronicles. You guys ready? I'm so glad to be back. How you guys doing? Thank you guys for being patient with me. I've been on the road, and we have had conferences. That's why I haven't been able to be on live. I won't be able to be on live this weekend as well because we have another conference going on. But in between time and in the meantime, let's do some talking. You guys ready? Let's do this. So you guys know I have a conference coming up in July 27th, and I'm dealing with generational trauma and breaking generational trauma and generational cycles. And one of the things I'll be talking about, because my guests will be talking about other things, one of the things we'll be talking about is like childhood trauma. And when I say childhood trauma, a lot of your minds went straight to exactly that. That's exactly what I'm going to be talking about. That the violations, and how you grew up seeing the world and seeing people, how many of you, and women, many of you have an issue with men. Yet you date men, but you have an issue with men. And you have a hard time trusting men, yet you want to be in a relationship or in a situationship with men. Some of you are struggling, and men too are struggling, with females. Yet you want to be with a female, but you have issues with a female, and you find yourself very abusive, but you can't figure out why you're so angry. And we're going to talk about why. Some of you are dealing with the fact that you felt like your body failed you because your body responded to the violations that were occurring to you. And so some of you feel like, that you were just as guilty as the perpetrator because your body responded to what was happening to you, which is a lie. And we're going to talk about that. Some of you at this very age, I've talked to many people. I was speaking to a young lady, not a client, but I was talking to a young lady just recently, and she's in her mid-30s, and she still deals with the severe shame and embarrassment of what happened to her in her childhood. And the thing about it is as I told her, the perpetrator still has power and control over you because you're keeping the secrets. And of course, it is a shameful thing to talk about because a lot of times you feel like you're in this by yourself. No one is going to understand because no one will understand how you feel. And then if it occurred, things have happened to you over a certain amount of times, up into a certain amount of years. You hear people telling you that you should have known better. You were old enough to make certain decisions. By the time you reach this age, you should have known that this was wrong, which is a lie because remember, people are trauma bonded. And when children at a young age are violated, they are trauma bonded, they are groomed, and that perpetrator, and some of them are narcissists, but the perpetrator changes the narrative. They teach them how to think. They teach them what is right and what is wrong. And like I've always said, especially dealing with narcissists, what is right is wrong and what is wrong is right. And so when you have a young child that is pliable and they're like little sponges, whatever you say, because they're looking at the adults as if the adults have all the answers, until we get older, of course, have all the answers. So they just believe the narrative that is given to them until someone changes the narrative. But people around them, as you get older, and some of you have experienced it, when older people or people that are of your age say some ignorant stuff because of the fact that they're not trained, because they don't believe in psychology, or the psycho mumbo jumbo, like I hear people say, that psycho mumbo jumbo stuff, and it just is what it is. You old enough to know and have the nerve to make faces like this. You should know. You're old enough to know. And if you doing that and you already 12 or 13 years old, and some people all the way up into the adulthood, you have been trauma bonded. It's also called the Stockholm Syndrome. Go look it up. And then you have people that are ignorant that say things to people and don't understand the psychology of trauma or how a person is violated and groomed. There are perpetrators, and we're going to talk about it at the conference. There are some perpetrators that are hateful and mean, and their whole intention is to hurt, to use power and control and hurt and violate for the purpose of hurting and punishing. And there are some violators, some perpetrators that actually groom, and they use human sexuality and the knowledge that they have in order to make a child feel guilty, as if they wanted something along the lines of that as well, and you can't be in detail on these videos, but you guys kind of get the gist of what I'm going. We're going to talk about it in detail. That's why I don't leave any stone unturned, and we're raw when we're at these conferences, and we're very much in detail. We say the correct body parts. Some of you guys need to teach your children the right body part names, because some of these kids are going to school and they're using these pet names, and the teachers have no idea what they're talking about. And so you need to teach them the appropriate names for body parts, so that when they're telling and people understand what they're saying. And so we're going to be talking about all of that. We're going to be talking about that in detail. Not only talking about that in detail, we're going to be talking about, some of you guys have been asking about, my mom is going to be there. So we're going to be talking about how people are traumatized in the church. Now, of course, we're talking about all sorts of different religions and spiritual belief systems. She's going to hit on that topic. You know, how are narcissists in the church, and how are people being abused in the church, because they see people as property. And when they come in, it's a matter of power and control. They want control, and they use the things that is dear to your heart to try to control you. They take scriptures, they take, you know, holy writings, you know, whatever it's called. Please forgive me if I you know, I don't want to disrespect, but they take those and they manipulate those in order to manipulate and control people. And people are their playground. This is their, you know, they come in and they don't guide people. And when we're talking about, I'm a church girl, and so when we're talking about leading people to God, leading people to Christ, they lead people to themselves. That's what a narcissist does. They lead people to themselves. You know, not to God, to themselves. It's all about them. They don't change. You know, we're going to have people talking about how people are being traumatized within the court system. Generations of family that come through the court systems, and how they are being manipulated by narcissists. How they are being traumatized in the courtroom by judges that are narcissists. You got lawyers that are narcissists. Then you have the narcissist that's a narcissist, that's abusing in the courtroom and using the court as their stage. And how, you know, and we're going to talk about how, you know, how you have generations of families in the foster care system, and generations of family that have been abused and have substance abuse issues. And how do you become so vulnerable? How you become so vulnerable and so desperate for relationships, and narcissists pick up on it. You know, you have anger outbursts, and your mood is unstable, and your behavior is unstable, and you wonder how that narcissist sniffs you out, you know, because they're watching you. How does this play generation after generation, when you can look in your family lineage and you can see your kids, you can see your siblings, you can see your parents, you can see your your grandparents, you can see your great-grandparents. How is this traveling through? How are we not stopping it? How do you interject into a child's life at a young age and redirect them? Because we have young people now. What happened to the big mamas and the grandmamas? Because now we have young people that have children, and the children are their friends at an early age. And then you wonder why you're watching because it's cute. You think it's cute watching YouTube and TikTok, where you got these young kids cussing out their parents. You got these young kids talking to their parents as if they're the same age. Child, if I can say what I want to say on TikToker about my kid, I wish my kids would. You know, you got kids talking to their parents as if they're the same age, and the parents think it's funny, and they're having conversations with these kids as if they're on the same level. They're not your friends. If there comes one thing my mom taught me, you know, you are always a parent first, always. Now, as they get older, if there's room for friendship, you can implement it, but you're always going to be mama first. So we can bump that friendship stuff, because I'm going to still be your mama first. You ain't going to disrespect me, honey. I'm old school. My daddy taught me that. My mama taught me that. You know, if we have room for friendship, we can put that in there when you get older, because it's a different type of parenting when you're a grandparent and then you parenting adult kids in their 30s and 40s and 50s. But the one thing that I know, and some of y'all need to understand, is that you are a parent first, and you wonder why these kids grow up and they have no respect for law, they have no respect for authority, because they ain't got no respect for you. And so you are training them to be entitled, to be selfish, to be self-centered. They lack empathy. And some of you guys are so afraid of your own kids, you won't parent them. And we wonder why the kids turn out the way that turn out. But listen, when you come to my conference, these are the conversations we're going to be having, and we're going to be raw. We're going to be straightforward. You don't want to miss this. Go to overcomingnarcissistabuse.ticketleap.com. Order your ticket. If you need to make payments, just email me at drcarmenbryant@outlook.com, and I will send you an invoice. You can do it in person, general session, VIP, or Zoom. I'm waiting to see you there. You got to be there.